Welcome to the Social Justice in the RA Role module. This module is in place to provide foundational concepts and terms to aid you in your role as a resident assistant here at Loyola University Chicago. We will further dive into these topics during fall training. This module will ask you to reflect and journal to process major thoughts or concepts. Please pause the module and grab whatever materials you may need to process the forthcoming prompts. Concluding this module, you will be able to define the basic terms, identify the big 9 social identities, have a foundational understanding of social justice work within the role, identify microaggressions, identify the difference between intent versus impact, and acknowledge and reconcile your own impact on your community. Relevancy to the role. Why does this work matter while being an RA? This foundational social justice training will be beneficial to your work as a resident assistant because it connects you deeper into the Jesuit values that our institution holds closely. It will aid you in understanding the social identities you carry and how those may show up in the RA role. It will serve as a foundation for you as you help your residents understand and navigate new experiences for the first time. This is also helpful as you facilitate conversations and/or conflicts with roommates that may be regarding difference. This training will assist you in navigating the residential curriculum so that you will be prepared to effectively hold programming about social justice and social identities. This training will aid you in naming and identifying the privileges you hold and the ways in which you may face oppression. Fundamentals of social justice work. Understanding the basics. Social justice is defined by Adams, Bell, and Griffin as the full and equal participation of all groups in a society that is mutually shaped to meet their needs. Social justice includes a vision of society in which the distribution of resources is equitable and all members are physically and psychologically safe and secure. What this does is it allows for members within a community to be and feel valued as their whole self, and at the same time, it challenges individuals to advocate for others so that the needs of someone else in the community are met fully. Equality is something you hear a lot in regards to work surrounding advocacy or serving others, but as you can see from the image on the left, equality suggests everyone should be treated the same regardless of background, history, or needs. The individuals in this image have all been distributed an equal number of boxes to assist them in viewing the game, suggesting that equality is just that, providing an equal distribution of resources no matter what the needs of the individuals are. In the image to the right, it shares that equity takes into account historical disadvantages, human diversities, and potentially unique needs. The boxes in this image are provided based on need and in an equitable fashion so that each individual can now view the game. The goal of social justice work is to get here, to liberation, where there are no fences or barriers, institutionally or systemically, that could cause harm, disadvantage, or injustice. Social justice work is to ultimately create change. Being a person for others is something we hear a lot here at Loyola, and that's because the great Jesuit leader, Pedro Arrupe, updated this idea in the 20th century by describing those informed in Ignatian spirituality as people for others. And along with that, the early Jesuits often described their work as simply helping souls. Both phrases express a deep commitment to social justice and a radical giving of oneself to others. Many organizations and universities, including Loyola, is informed by this Ignatian spirituality, and these institutions offer opportunities to learn and work toward a socially just world today. Definitions. Basic definitions to know going into the RA role. Definitions to know. Social identities. It involves the ways in which one characterizes oneself, the affinities one has with other people, the ways one has learned to behave in stereotyped social settings, the things one values in oneself and in the world, and the norms that one recognizes or accepts governing everyday behavior. Power. The ability or official authority to decide what is best for others, the ability to decide who will have access to resources, the capacity to exercise control over others. Privilege, unearned rights, benefits, immunity, and favors that are bestowed on individuals and groups solely on the basis of race, culture, religion, gender, sexual orientation, physical ability, or other characteristics. Oppression results from the use of institutional power and privilege where one person or group benefits at the expense of another. Oppression is the use of power and the effects of domination. Big nine social identities. Social identities defined. Race. Racial identity shapes privileged status for some and undermines the social standing of others. Race identifies a group that is socially defined, but on the basis of physical criteria, including skin color and facial features. Examples: Black, Latinx, white, etc. Ethnicity. Ethnicity is defined in terms of culture, language, and country of origin. This relates to a person or to a large group of people who share national, cultural, and/or linguistic heritage, whether or not they reside in their countries of origin. This can be broad or specific. Examples: Nigerian, Punjabi, Japanese, Scottish, etc. Nationality. Nationality identity is the identifier expressed by the individual's country of origin. Examples: Ecuadorian, Indian, Filipinx, Iranian, etc. Gender. The internal perception of one's gender and how they label themselves based on how much they align or don't align with what they understand their options for gender to be. Understanding of gender is typically socially constructed with concepts within the binary of masculinity and femininity. One's gender is not the same as their gender expression or biological sex. Examples: non-binary, woman, man, genderqueer, two-spirit, etc. Sexual orientation, the type of sexual, romantic, emotional, or spiritual attraction one has the capacity to feel for some others, generally labeled based on the gender relationship between the person and the people they are attracted to. This is often confused with sexual preference. Examples of self-labels might include gay, lesbian, heterosexual, same-gender loving, bisexual, pansexual, queer, straight, etc. Age refers to the inner experience of a person's age and aging process. Age identity is the outcome of the processes through which one identifies with or distances oneself from different aspects of the aging process. Examples: youth, seniors, young people, people over 40, middle age, etc. Ability. Ability identity is the physical, mental, or emotional capacity to do something or perform successfully. Temporarily able-bodied individuals who do not suffer from developmental, psychological, learning, physical, and illiteracy disabilities. Examples of ability are temporarily able-bodied, differently abled, etc. Religion/spirituality. Religion/spirituality identity is an institutionalized or personal system of beliefs and practices relating to the divine. Examples: Muslim, Buddhist, Catholic, Jewish, etc. Socioeconomic status. Socioeconomic status identity is the social standing based on income and/or one's position in society. Examples: working poor, working class, middle class, and upper class. Take a moment and reflect. Feel free to pause the module as you reflect and respond, whether that be internally or in a journal. Identifying your social identities. Name 5 to 7 of the big social identities that you brought to this module. How do your identities impact your leadership style? How will you create a welcoming and inclusive environment for each and every resident who may have similar or differing identities? What more do you want to know? What can you do to further educate yourself on the identities you carry, the ones that differ from yours, and the society that those identities are shaped within? Microaggressions and how they show up. Microaggressions are the subtle ways in which body and verbal language convey oppressive ideology about power or privilege against marginalized identities. Please click the link and watch the video that connects examples of microaggressions within popular films. Take a moment and reflect. Feel free to pause the module as you reflect and respond, whether that be internally or in a journal. Identifying microaggressions. Internally or in a journal, think about and or write down an instance when you witnessed a microaggression occur and didn't say anything. At this time, did you know it was happening? Do you think the interaction could have been different if you confronted the person who was doing the harm? How will you create a welcoming and inclusive environment for residents who express or even don't express to you that they experience microaggressions regularly? Because we can express microaggressions subconsciously, how will you try to be more aware of this behavior and restore your community if you or another resident makes a microaggression? Intent versus impact. Intent is what we mean to say, and impact is what we actually say and how the message is received by the hearer. Within interpersonal relationships, people tend to judge themselves by their intentions and others by their impact. Take a moment and reflect. Feel free to pause the module as you reflect and respond, whether that be internally or in a journal. Intention versus impact. Internally or in a journal, write down an instance when you had good intent but negatively impacted someone. How did they feel? How did you feel? How did you process together or reconcile the relationship? How will you create a welcoming and inclusive environment for residents who express that they feel harmful impact from others in their floor community? How will you respond if a resident or co-RA shares with you that your impact on them caused harm? If you say or do something that perpetuates the oppression of marginalized people groups and or you commit a microaggression, it is important to know how to apologize and do the work to educate yourself afterwards. This is also helpful information to provide and educate your residents on, as they may also make the mistake of committing a microaggression or saying something that is racist, sexist, ableist, etc. Please click the image and watch the video that educates folks on how to apologize for getting called out. Next steps. During fall training, we will give you a chance to talk about what you've been learning surrounding social justice, discuss social justice topics on a deeper level, and we will answer any lingering questions on social justice work within the RA role and how to educate residents within the residential curriculum. Next steps. During fall training, we'll give you a chance to talk about what you learned during the online training. We'll discuss social justice topics on a deeper level, and we'll answer any questions on identity and what it's like to educate residents surrounding topics of social justice.